Hi guys, and welcome to Magic. In this video I'm going to show you how you can automatically generate unit tests for your HTTP REST API, your Magic REST API of course. Although unit tests aren't technically the correct name, it's more like integration tests. So, but anyways, they serve a similar type of purpose, which is to sanity check the state of your web API. So this is how Magic looks like when you initially start it. If you go to the generator menu item, you can select the database here and you can click Codify all tables. You can choose another database and click Codify all tables. And of course, this process automatically generates a backend for you, wrapping your database in CRUD HTTP endpoints. And you can, of course, override the settings for each endpoint here, authorization and the URL, and whether or not you want to cache the get invocations, log delete invocation. You can even inject custom Hyperlambda here during the process and decide which columns are part of which HTTP verb invocation or CRUD type of invocations. When you've done that though, and you go to your endpoints menu item, then you can see here, for instance, here are all CRUD endpoints for both of my Babel fish tables. Here's languages, get allows me to invoke this endpoint. I can filter on Sakila if I want to. Here you see the actor get invocation, and of course you can parameterize it. If you find first name, let's see if we can find the like bugger here. First name like, PEN, percent, adds, and I've now added a query parameter to my invocation. So only actors whose first names start out with the characters PEN will be returned here. You can invoke it. As you can see here, now I'm only getting Penelope actors back. Can limit 2, can offset 1, and invoke it, etc. However, what I wanted to show you is that once I've constructed my HTTP invocation here and parameterized it as I see fit, then I can actually automatically generate an assumption, quote unquote. And I refer to these as assumptions and not unit tests, since they're technically not actually unit tests. And you can actually do that automatically. I can just click new assumption here. Can name my assumption foo.bar. Can write some descriptive text about it. Assumes that there are only 2 actors returned by HTTP API given these conditions. Then I can choose whether or not I want the response to match or not. Of course, if it's a database that frequently are inserting new items, you might not necessarily want to have the response matching, but I'm going to do so just for the purpose of this video. And then I click save. And I've now created a unit test or an assumption. And here is my assumption. And I can click it to verify the sanity of this particular endpoint, implying that if my endpoint at some point in the future returns something else, but besides what this assumption assumes that the endpoint should return, then it's going to trigger an error. And if I now go to the menu item and I open up diagnostics and I click my assumptions here, you will see my assumption here. And here is the actual Hyperlambda declaration for this particular assumption, where you can see its description, its assumed status code, its HTTP verb, its URL, including, of course, the query parameters. Here's the response it assumes to be given after invoking the URL, given these query parameters, etc., etc. And I can run the assumption. And as you could see, assumption succeeded. If it didn't succeed, then it would have been a different icon here. And I can run all of my assumptions consecutively. Now I'm running 126 assumptions in the system to verify the integrity of my system. And as you can see, our system has perfect health. And I even get a bit of statistics here. If I make this a little bit wider, and I go to, I think it is overview, is it? Then I will see assumption failures over the last 2 weeks, allowing me to, even if I wanted to, I could set up scheduled tasks running my assumptions during the night, and then, you know, triggering sending of emails if assumptions fails, etc., etc. Or I can go in here in the overview tab in the diagnostics menu item, and I can see how many failed assumptions I've had over the last 2 weeks. And of course I can drill down into each of my assumptions and see what it did wrong. And I can go to diagnostics menu item, I can click the assumptions, and I can edit the assumption, and I can delete it. And actually this assumption is just a file. If you open up the files menu item, then you open up MISC, then you open up tests, you will see that there's a file in my MISC/tests folder called foo.bar.hl, which actually encapsulates my assumption. So it's just simply a Hyperlambda file creating an assumption about my system that I can repeatedly execute whenever I see the need to do so in order to sanity check the state of my system, arguably becoming a much higher abstraction than unit tests, because they're actually invoking HTTP requests, etc., etc., but still having overlapping functionality in regards to unit tests. And of course I can delete the file if I want to. So anyway, that was the video. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.